Here are 8 products to dropship in 2023 that will continue to explode in demand. Oftentimes, the most important thing you will do with your high-tech e-commerce store is pick the right product. There's a number of factors that you should consider when choosing product. Is the demand for the product rising over time, or is it falling? Is it a need or a want? And who is the target demographic that you're selling to? Is it the top 10% of income earners? Is it people who are going to struggle financially, that during a time of economic uncertainty or a recession will cut back their purchases? These are all essential questions that you want to be asking yourself. And here are 8 products that I believe are going to continue to rise in demand in 2023 and over the next 5 to 10 years. Let's dive right in and discuss each. Number 1, we have Hyperbaric Chambers. Essentially, this is a chamber used by high-performance athletes, actors, and it essentially allows you to retain more oxygen than you are just like breathing regular air. So oftentimes, many of the highest end ones, you'll actually need a medical certificate from a doctor to actually buy it. So that's one thing to keep in mind on your website. You might need to ask the customer for this before selling it to them. High performers use these, athletic facilities use these, and it's usually so number 1 is a very, very high income earning demographic where economic uncertainty or recession is not going to affect their ability to purchase the product. If you just type in Hyperbaric Chamber on Ahrefs or SEMrush, as you see over time, the demand is continuing to, it's grown significantly over the last few years, and I believe it will continue to in coming years due to the huge health benefits that these provide. Number 2 is mobility scooters. So these are essentially a way for elderly populations to get around without walking. So as right now, there's a very large contingent of the population, which is 50 to 70 years old. And as this population, the baby boomers, continue to age and get into that 70 to 90-year-old bracket, they will need ways to transport around effectively and continue to be mobile. So mobility scooters allow them essentially ways to get around the mall, to get down the street to visit a friend, and more of this demographic is going to continue to grow. And a lot of this demographic has lots of money saved up throughout their whole lives. So these are often retired people who have their whole life savings. So another thing is it's a need, not a want. They need to be able to get around and transport themselves effectively. So you have a growing demographic that is increasing in number. You have a need, not a want, and you have a well-off population that has lots of finances saved up throughout their whole life. Mobility scooters are another excellent option to sell coming into this year. Number 3 is we have cold plunge tubs. So much like the Hyperbaric Chamber, Hyperbaric Chambers are very, very high end. So actors, athletes, professional sports teams. Cold plunge tubs, on the other hand, are essentially the biohacking from home space. So lots of these athletic facilities and high performance centers already have cold tubs built in. But as we've seen throughout the last few years, people want to have the ability to improve their health from the comfort of their own home. So things like cold plunge tubs, and as we'll get to in a minute, infrared saunas, home gyms, these are all things that people want access to at their own home. Cold therapy has been proven mentally to improve your endurance, stress tolerance. Obviously, if you've ever been in a cold plunge tub, you know what it feels like. It can really help you mentally. But it also really helps you improve your muscular recovery over time. So essentially a biohacking from home device. And if you look at the demand trend over the last 5 years, you have seen that it has absolutely skyrocketed. And I believe that it will continue to as more and more people want these and become familiar with the benefits that they provide. Infrared saunas, number 4. So infrared saunas have already went through a huge increase in demand over the last 10 years. And it's a much more mature market than something like cold tubs. Saunas are kind of going mainstream at this point, where cold plunge tubs are still in their early infancy of adoption by the population. So infrared saunas, I would say, is somewhat mainstream at this point, but obviously because of the high price point, not everyone has them from home. But I believe people will continue to see the benefits, and the high earners, especially in the top 10, 20% income of the population, will continue to buy these at a higher rate. And we will continue to see more and more people buy these for the comfort of their own home, even though most people, I think at this point, are somewhat familiar with the benefits of them. Where cold plunge tubs, on the other hand, many people aren't even familiar with the benefits of them. If you look at the cold plunge tub graph, it's kind of went like a U shape. And I believe that U shape will continue, and we'll start to see them purchase at a higher and higher rate. Infrared saunas has already went through that U shape, and it's been relatively consistent for about 5 to 10 years now, but I still believe not a lot of people necessarily have these in their home yet. So I think more and more people will continue to buy them because of that want to have the biohacking devices and health devices from the comfort of one's own home. Number 5 is barbecues and grills. So again, people like cooking from the comfort of their own home. They want to have home entertainment spaces, especially over the last few years. They want to be able to host their friends, their guests, provide them a good experience from their own backyard. We've seen things like outdoor kitchens, barbecues, grills sales skyrocket. And there's obviously all sorts of different kinds of these. You're going to have like your standard $500 barbecue, but you can get them up to like $15,000. So what I would recommend if you're selling to the space is really target the high end of the market, the luxury outdoor kitchen space, where you're going to be targeting a demographic that's not necessarily worried about economic uncertainty or recessions, are going to be buying these items regardless of the economic times around them. And that way you can partner with high-end brands. And one thing about the barbecue and grill space in particular is the suppliers have very, very high margins, usually upwards of 30 to 35% landed after cost of goods sold and shipping. So it is a competitive space, which is why I kind of recommend niching down to a specific segment of it. And I would target the high end of it. So the luxury version of this product type, and I wouldn't try and compete mainstream with places like Home Depot or barbecue guys. Number 6 is golf simulators. This is the perfect product for backyard entertainment. So much kind of like barbecues and grills, people want to entertain guests from the comfort of their own home. So while the barbecue and grill aspect is kind of centered around meals, eating, things like this, golf simulators are kind of the entertainment aspect. So imagine you go to a friend's house and they have a full-on golf simulator in your backyard that you can play a round of 18 holes literally just in their backyard with them. Again, someone buying this is likely in the high-end earning demographic of the population and is not necessarily going to be price sensitive if it comes to times of economic uncertainty or recessions. But again, this is more on the side of a want, not a need. So not many people need these things, which is why it's especially important to target that high earning demographic. And that same principle goes for 3 and 4, cold plunge tubs and infrared saunas. They're not necessarily items that people need most of the time. Sometimes they are. Infrared saunas, a lot of times people with cancer, doctors will recommend that they get infrared saunas, at which case it would be a need for those people. But a lot of the time, the people purchasing cold plunge tubs and infrared saunas want them, not need them. And if you're selling a want, not a need, it becomes very, very important that you target the highest earning demographic of the population who is not going to be price sensitive. On the other hand, mobility scooters, it's more of a need. So you can just sell to elderly people overall. And while many of them are secure financially, they don't need to be at the very, very highest earning demographic because it's an item that they need. Moving on to number 7, 3D printers. Essentially, a 3D printer is a way to print out three-dimensional objects from your computer. So as AI and technology increases over time, these are becoming more and more prevalent in the design space, architecture space, and I believe that we'll continue to see that trend in coming years as technology increases. Oftentimes it's businesses buying these, and businesses overall are far more price insensitive compared to consumers, which is very, very good. Obviously, consumers looking to buy 3D printers, they're obviously very interested in tech, or they simply have the money to do so, and it's a hobby of theirs. But it is more of a want, not necessarily a need. But again, when you're selling a want, not a need, we want to make sure we're targeting price-insensitive buyers. So businesses definitely meet that criteria, as well as people with the income to afford a $25,000 3D printer because they want it. Obviously, they would meet that criteria as well. It's not like someone who's just middle income class is just going to go buy one of these things just purely out of interest, unless they absolutely need it, unless they're an absolute tech fanatic, in which case they may be willing to anyways. But just important principles to keep in mind regardless. And lastly, number 8, we have standing desks. So this is almost in the same category as the cold plunge tubs and infrared saunas. People want to be active. People seem to think that standing desks increase your focus. I have a standing desk myself. I definitely take some meetings on it just to kind of increase my energy as I'm standing. But people want these things. If you look at the demand chart on Ahrefs or SEMrush, you'll see over time standing desks, the demand has skyrocketed. I would say this more fits into the category of a need, not a want. So if people are working from home, as remote work has become increasing in popularity, people need home workstations. So it's definitely a want in that capacity. I would, again, kind of with this sort of item, it's almost like grills where the demand is so high for something like desk. You want to really pick out a segment of it and try and sell to them. But I would focus on the highest end standing desks and try to sell to a price insensitive demographic of person who is going to be willing to spend $5,000 on the top high end standing desks available. But again, just to reiterate, here are 8 products that I believe will continue to increase in demand in the coming year. So we have hyperbaric chambers, mobility scooters, infrared saunas, cold plunge tubs, barbecues and grills, golf simulators, 3D printers, and standing desks. And when you're building a high-ticket dropshipping store, just a general principle overall is it's very, very important to pick a good niche. So either you want to have a non-competitive niche. I would say on here something like cold plunge tubs, hyperbaric chambers, 3D printers, like these are relatively new items and not necessarily competitive yet. Other items that are competitive, so like grills, infrared saunas are even getting pretty competitive. Golf simulators, mobility scooters, there might be more competition in these areas where I recommend you kind of niche down, and you can niche down one of 2 ways: by person, by target avatar, or by product. So what I mean by this, if you're going to niche down in the grill space, you could target down by customer avatar. So you could really focus on the highest earning individuals for that product groups. Rather than selling grills from $500 to $15,000, just focus on the highest end ones from like $8,000 to $15,000. Alternatively, you can niche down by product types. Rather than selling grills, you could sell Kamado grills, a specific type of grill. You could sell built-in outdoor kitchen grills. So then you're, instead of just the grill store, you're the Kamado grill store. So you're seen as more of an expert by Google and your customers for just that one product type, which will increase your conversion rate of people looking for that exact product. So the two ways to get around competition are niche down by target avatar, sell a broad range of products, grills, to a specific demographic, so like a high earning population, or pick a specific subset of a broader product type and sell just that subset. If you're interested in working with me to build your own high ticket e-commerce store, I will link our Calendly link below. You can book a qualification call with my team. And if you are interested in building your own store completely for free, I have a completely free Kajabi course. It will teach you everything you need to know to set up your business, do your market research, supplier research, and eventually make your first sale. I will link that below the video as well. Thank you for taking time out of your wonderful day to watch my video. Please hit the subscribe button below. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. You'll have access to all of my new videos that come. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.